You're watching Let's Chat.
There is a great new Italian pastaria that's nestled on the side of Missionary Ridge, and I hate to tell you about it because I've eaten there and it's delicious and I don't want them to get overcrowded. So we're not going to skip this segment. We're going to introduce you to Jake Leonard. Jake is the driving force behind Giardino. Good to see you, Jake.
Thank you, Chip.
Hey, wow, we have seen you at such familiar Chattanooga restaurants as Il Primo, Easy Bistro, St. John's, and now you've taken the step out and opened up your own place. What led to the opening of Giardino?
It was just a series of really fortunate events. My neighbor, Lawrence Mills, who I met during the pandemic walking my 2-year-old around the neighborhood, actually owns the building and has been in the industry for years and years and years. But
right.
He started cooking up the idea of wanting to open a new space. I had been talking with Oscar over at Il Primo about possibly doing something myself, and he said he'd help design the menu, and yeah, just a bunch of happy accidents led right to it.
Wow, and I've eaten there, and I got to tell you, the food is excellent. We're going to start with one of your more popular appetizers here. You don't call it an appetizer at your restaurant. You call it what?
A bruschetta.
A bruschetta. All right. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so we've got heirloom cherry tomatoes there with our house blend of ricotta mozzarella cheese over a grilled ciabatta and just a little balsamic reduction on top.
And this is something unique to Giardino. You're not going to find this at any other restaurant in town, no matter how authentically Italian they may claim to be.
It's a simple dish, but the blending of the cheeses is definitely the house touch there.
All right, and next up, veal.
Veal marsala, so thinly sliced top round veal, lightly breaded, and then we're doing a veal marsala sauce there with mushroom stock, veal, white wine, marsala wine, forgive me.
This is literally stuff like you would find in your grandmother's kitchen if your grandmother was an authentic Italian. This veal is the best in town I've ever had, and I've tried it everywhere that they've got it. Yours has a slightly sweet, buttery, creamy texture to it. What's your secret behind that?
It's honestly, it's all in the way that you mix the butter, the marsala, getting the temperature just right. It's a dance that, you know, it takes a really high-level chef to constantly keep those sauces right at temp. Your
chefs are exactly on point. Another fabulous entree you have here is?
Yeah, our bechamel lasagna. So that's house-made pasta and bolognese sauce layered with bechamel and then topped with house-made mozzarella cheese and parsley and our marinara.
And again, you can't have a good meal Italian style without a fabulous dessert. And this certainly doesn't look like any sort of dessert that I've had before that calls itself this. Tell me about this beautiful concoction.
Brand new recipe that Oscar designed. It's, you know, tiramisu actually means pick me up in Italian. So the idea is that you want an espresso driven dessert that's still light and airy, something that means you don't want to just go home and take a nap afterwards. You want to go out on the town. And he somehow has managed to create this creamier style of tiramisu that still feels light and airy. It's remarkable.
It certainly does, and the top of it is dusted with?
Espresso powder.
Espresso powder. This is really, really good stuff. And I've noticed on your menu that you talk a lot about outsourcing your ingredients as locally as possible. Who are some of the local folks you do business with?
So one of the greatest things to happen to us was Big Sycamore Farms coming in for support. Bert and Anisha, the owners, have a great relationship with Oscar. Bert came in, looked at the restaurant and said, I'm going to help you guys with every seasonal vegetable you need. We're actually doing something I'm very excited to try, which is we're not having your typical sides. When Bert comes into us and says, hey, I've got summer squash for the next so many days, that's all we have on the menu. So you'll choose pasta or whatever seasonal vegetable we got in from the farm that day.
Any other local vendors that you want to talk about?
Oh, of course. Sequatchie Cove Creamery, one of the best creameries in the whole country, is only so many miles down the road. Springer Mountain Farm Chicken, some of the best chicken you can buy at an unbelievably reasonable price. It's, you know, natural. They've done an amazing job of figuring out the healthiest, most sustainable way to raise chicken, and that's.
And I see you brought along some incredible wines. You have a pretty good wine selection, and you were telling me that Italian and Sicilian wines now are not only delicious, they're pretty inexpensive. Why?
So there's this phenomenon that's happened where we were 2 years ago starting a bit of a tariff war with Europe. And so there was a freeze or disruption where they didn't want to send everything over thinking they were about to hit 100% tariff. And so right as that was getting resolved, COVID came in and shut down all the trade coming out of Italy. So just now as things are opening back up, there is this unbelievable amount of wine that's just been sitting in Italy, and they've got vintages stacking on vintages, and it's got to go. So some of these wines that are the best I've ever had in my life, and they're coming in at 20, 30 bucks a bottle.
Wow.
That were easily 60 or more 2 years ago.
And wine is not all that you have on the menu if you choose alcohol at Giardino.
No,
correct?
no. We've got a bunch of local breweries, and then my wife, Nikki, is actually running the spirits program.
Right.
She's researched a bunch of really interesting, amazing old Italian cocktails and then added little bits of modernity to them. But our limoncello, she found a blood orange vanilla bean recipe that's one of the, yeah, it's amazing.
I haven't tried that. I noticed you don't have it here yet. However, we are going to cut into a little bit of the veal. I hope you don't mind. And
please.
even if you do mind, sorry, Jake, this is not going to be an option here. I got to tell you, if you love authentic Italian food, that's outstanding. That is outstanding. And your portions, very generous, and your price is extremely reasonable. And what you have done with the building, and many of you know it, it's across from the King's Lodge Apartments. That building's been a number of things over the years. You have totally redone it inside and out.
Again, a lot of great fortune there. We had a cousin of a friend down in Birmingham, Ricky with Dreamers Renovators, came in and just worked serious magic. I mean, he came in and we thought about maybe putting in a window. He's like, I can do 3. Can I raise this?
Wow.
We had a drop ceiling in one room that made it feel really tight, and he managed to raise the ceiling and expand doorways and just...
It is certainly worth the trip to check out Jake Leonard's new restaurant. It is called Giardino, and it is on the side of Missionary Ridge, 2305 Westside Drive, right across from the King's Lodge. Jake, best of luck in the future. You'll be back here. You better be back here right after this for more Let's Chat.